Hi and welcome to this grain happy tutorial, how to create drastic moody images with one Speedlight. This video is for people who are currently struggling with their Speedlight. You know how to turn it on, you know how to take a picture with it, but you're just not pleased with how your pictures are turning out. This is a look into all the different looks you can get just by playing around with that Speedlight, moving it around, trying some different modifiers. And I'm going to talk about the light a lot today. I'm going to talk about shadows and how you can tell where the light's coming from and different things that can happen with light that will affect your shots. So let's get into it. So honestly, the main secret to taking these drastic moody images just using one Speedlight is getting that Speedlight off the camera using a trigger system. And in the case of many of these photos, I'm actually also using an umbrella to try to spread out that light. Instead of having the light come from such a small little tiny source, I'm having the light come from a bigger source, which makes the shadows look even better. And getting that flash off the camera is absolutely huge for creating these awesome moody shots. Okay, so here is shot number one. The first thing I want you to take a look at is the shadows, because if we can reverse engineer what the shadows are doing, then we can figure out where the light's coming from. So let's take a look over here. This guy is creating a shadow right here. Okay, so that's my first clue. So the light's definitely coming from this direction because it's creating this shadow, right? Also, the shadow is coming from up higher. It's not low down here because this would be hit, right? That wouldn't be a shadow if the light was coming from here. So the light's definitely coming from this side, but it's also coming up from higher, okay? Because this is getting hit, but this isn't. And this is getting hit, but this isn't, all right? One other thing I want you to take a look at is the reflection here. This is fun. This is actually a reflection from the table and from the inside of this guy into the camera. So that's really kind of fun. The light bounces around your subject. Okay, sometimes we'll see this with a bride and her dress will light up the groom's face or light up the underneath the bride's chin because it's reflecting light onto the subject itself or the other things that are close to the subject. So just keep an eye out for that. Here's shot two. Now take a look at this. Where did the background go? Look at all that, it's just gone. This shot, plenty of background, but this shot, there's nothing, okay? So what I did here is I closed down the umbrella, and instead of it being kind of a wider surface, I closed it down so it would only affect part of the image. So it's kind of angled back this way, because if I would have angled it, kind of more in directly this way, then it would have spilled obviously into this entire area. There's also a wall back here, so it would have reflected light back into the scene. But since I'm facing in this direction, it's really only catching this little area. Also, we can tell a little bit more about the angle of the light because of this. You can see that the light is sneaking through that really, really thin area. Okay, so look for clues like that when you're trying to figure out where the light is and how how I took this shot. If you want to reverse engineer this shot, you got to be able to look at the light and figure out what I did. Okay, one thing that's also really interesting is specular highlights. Specular highlights are the whitest part of the reflection. You can see right there, the very, very whitest part. That is going to be helpful because that is a direct reflection, 100% of where the light is. So what that means is if I'm shooting something that can bounce off this area, if I'm shooting that from my camera, directly from my camera lens, and it hits right here and then it bounces up towards the light, that's what's going on. That's a pure reflection. There's no other bouncing around. It's just directly from the light to my eye. The whitest part of the reflection is called a specular highlight. So look for those because those will be helpful clues too. Let's take a look at this next shot. All right, so now we have plenty more of the background, right? So instead of the umbrella kind of being angled towards this, it's more this way. Let's take a look at the oh, look at this shadow. This tells us exactly. Okay, so this long thing is now it's looking kind of smaller now because the angle of light is higher. So that flash must be higher up because it's coming down as opposed to across to create this shadow here. Okay, let's take a look at some other. Oh, look at the specular there too. That really helps us. Also, take a look at this. Some light's getting in there. This isn't necessarily direct light because the angle of the flash is such that it's not getting hit directly. It's not coming in like this, right? But because the flash is coming in from the side, well, actually kind of more down from the top and side, it's hitting the inside of this guy, and that's reflecting back out. And then also see this color there? That's the table being reflected. So that's kind of cool. Okay, this shot is a lot more moody. Again, this whole area is black. What's going on? There must have been some sort of angle from the light tilted this way, okay? If it would have been angled this way or back towards the wall, then it would have hit the wall and ricocheted back out, okay? And then this would not be so black. So I closed down the umbrella and really kind of made it highly directional downward. Or actually, we're kind of coming, let's see where we're coming. We're coming about this direction because this guy, this shape is being transformed into that, roughly. Also, this is another clue. You can see this is this right here. This guy right here is creating this shadow. And that's helpful too because you can see that that this isn't a super dark shadow. I mean, compare this area with this area over here. It's just totally, it's a lot brighter. And part of that is the light is going down, hitting the table, and then back up, hitting the underside of the camera, and then back down again. So the light's bouncing all over the place, but also the light from the actual umbrella is able to sneak underneath there because it's a wider source. Okay, if it was a really direct source, then that would be a super clean, crisp, dark shadow. Okay, but it's a little bit lighter. So that's some stuff you need to pay attention to when you're trying to figure out how to take these moody shots to reverse engineer them. And on to the next shot. So take a look at this. This is interesting. Look at this big long thing. Instead of it creating a shadow like before, it's creating this tiny little guy, which means that the light must be coming down at such an angle that it doesn't even necessarily see this part. It just sees this part and then projects that down. All right, you can see a little bit of it there, a little bit of it there. And then also look at this really dark area underneath. That was different than our last. See how this is more of a gentle shadow? And then this is a darker shadow. Keep an eye out for things like that. Also look at this, specular highlight. So keep in mind a specular highlight is the direct 100% reflection. It's the direct light. There's no like, obviously the light is hitting here at some point. Light is getting to this and then getting to my eye. But it's not the direct exact reflection, okay? This brightest part of the image, and actually this is kind of, it's almost a specular. There's a specular definitely right there and then right there. That's a perfect reflection. So if I shot something that was super bouncy, it would go directly from out my lens to hit that and then right up into the light. Talking about speculars again, you see that specular now? And there's one too. So if I shot a bouncy ball out of my lens, it would hit that and then hit the light. Okay, this is pretty much a specular. Also, we can see that shadow right there is created by this guy, that it's a gentle shadow, it's a gentle drop off. Okay, that's really important. Oh, look at this, that shadow right there from this guy. That means that the light source is big. Okay, whenever there's gentle shadows, it means the light source is big. So instead of a small little flash, it's using a modifier or something else to spread out that light. Okay, here's the next shot, and the first thing we're seeing here is, look at this shadow. That's created by this guy. Okay, so we know right away the light's coming from this way. Actually more down like that. Take a look at the specular. Now this is fun, look at this. This is a specular from that, which is a specular from my light source. So my light source comes down, it hits this perfectly, it bounces to my eye, right? That's how I see that, that's a perfect specular. But also, this bounces down to hit the table, which is a perfect reflection back up into my eye. So it's really fun because we actually have two speculars in two different places, because this is a direct reflection of the light, and then this is a direct reflection of that direct reflection of the light. So that's really kind of fun. And then also take a look at the quality of the shadow. Sorry, I should have circled that. The quality of the shadow is soft. Okay, so we have a large light source instead of a small light source. Keep in mind, small light sources create crisp shadows, and large light sources create smooth shadows. Okay, on to this guy. This is actually a really fun shot. Now, first of all, we're looking at shadows, right? We're trying to find these shadows. Obviously, the light is coming kind of down from here again. You can kind of see that. But look at the fact that this shadow here, it's dark here, but it's kind of being filled in. The light is sneaking in. Now, where is that light coming from? Some of it is coming from above, sneaking in, but some of it is reflecting from this area down to eat into that shadow to give it some more light. So that's kind of fun. So the light is coming down, hitting this area, and then eating into this shadow. At the same time, it's coming down and hitting this and creating the shadow. So that's really fun. And then, oh, look at that specular. So again, I hit that with a super bouncy ball, and it bounces right up into the light, right into the light. Let's take a look. Oh, there's a shadow too. That helps us with direction of the light. For sure. Keep an eye out. Try to just see shadows now. Just everywhere you go, just look for shadows. Try to figure out, where's the light? What type of quality of light is it? You'll be surprised as to how much you can figure out, even just in your own house and walking around. At night, it's really fun too. Or in the morning when the light is sneaking in through the window, just look for those shadows. Okay, this is super moody. I can't even see any of this area, so I must have closed it down, made the light more directional. And then here, now you can really see the reflection of this area, right? The direction of the flash is making this peg sticking out, create that. And then again, this guy is creating this. And then obviously this whole thing is a little bit of, it's that. Look at how clean that shadow is. And then speculars. Where are speculars? There's one. That's kind of a specular. There's a specular. Those specular highlights are a direct line back to our light if we could just bounce right off of it up into our light. Okay, so that's super huge. Next, this one, I basically did this because I just wanted to show you guys what's possible. This is mainly for two light setups. You know, we'll have a kicker back here, and then you'll probably want a fill light to fill it in. Sometimes this works with a silhouette. Obviously, you can see the shape of it. I don't really like this shot. I just kind of wanted to show what happens. Also, what's fun is that the light is creeping in a little bit, and obviously some of it's getting through, but some of it is actually hitting the back side of this, and then bouncing into the innards of this vintage video camera. You can see that specular, that guy, and that guy. I hope you're viewing this HD. I'm not sure how this looks on a small screen, but and there's a little specular too. But these speculars, that's a direct reflection, okay? So that means that the light came in here, it bounced off somewhere here, I'm not sure, and then hit that little point there, and then that goes straight to our eye. So if we could just do a super perfect bouncy ball right to this point, it would bounce there and then bounce back to the light. It's always a way back to the light. If you see a specular, it's a perfect way back to the light. Okay, that's what a specular reflection is. I've said it like 14 times. I really want you to understand that. And take a look at this shot. First thing we see, this guy is creating this shadow, right? And this thing is creating that shadow. So the light must be coming from this direction, right? But it's below us. And the reason why I know that is this little thin little tab, look at how thin this is. The height of that little tab is creating this shadow, okay? That's interesting. Also, the dust here, you can see that a lot better because the light's coming in at a lower angle. It's brushing up against that dust and creating little mini shadows within that dust. Also, take a look at the specular. Every time, it'll bounce right back to the light. So we shoot straight out of our lens, and then that bounces right back to the light. This is kind of a different version of the same shot. The light's obviously over to the left side now because it's got to create that shadow from this, right? And then the whole camera body is creating that, and the light is sneaking through. You see that? Also, see this little lip? That little lip is creating that little shadow. And then this thing is creating that little shadow. And this whole area is just white because the light's coming in at such an angle that it's not really creating. Oh, and then that, look at that shadow right there based on that metal part, right? That little screw right there is creating a tiny little shadow there as well. And then, oh, look at this. This is the reflection from the table from the light over there. That's fun. Let's look for speculars. There's one. There's one. This is close to a specular. That's close to a specular as well. Okay, now take a look at this shot. This is fun. And this one. So the difference between these two is what? The only difference that I see is this shot has more interest. Look at all this stuff. Look at all this random spritz, right? This one is just kind of straight up, right? Clean shadows, and then just nothing. I put some lace in front of the flash, and it just dirtied it up a little bit. Sometimes you'll want that. Sometimes you'll want a little bit of just interest. Whatever this adds to it, I don't know. I mean, it's not necessarily an amazing shot, but it's just interesting. Sometimes you want to put stuff in front of your flash to take it from just boring to a little bit more interest. You know, what is this stuff? It just kind of gives it a little bit more life. So, you know, think through that stuff. When you're using a flash, you don't just want to set it and forget it. You want to play with it. Here's the same thing. Look between these. You see the difference there? This is clean, and this is dirty. Clean. Look back here. You see all this stuff? This is that lace in front of the flash. And you can do more. You can get, you know, you can really do anything. I mean, gosh, you could probably take a paper plate and poke some holes in it. You could take some cardboard, aluminum foil. Gosh, I mean, think back to craft time in 3rd grade. You can do anything. Create something with holes in it and block part of the light with it. You can get really cool stuff. And then last but not least, this is just the very boring shot of just the overhead light. I just turned the overhead light on. I had to color correct it because it was a little bit different from the flash stuff. But this was kind of where I started. This was the first shot that I took, and I wanted to take it all sorts of different places. So all that to say, don't settle with what you start with. Try something and try something else, and move the flash and change the size of the flash by using modifiers, okay? You don't necessarily, even if you can't afford an umbrella, or if you're sitting at home right now and you're saying, like, I don't want to buy an umbrella, or I can't figure it out, you can figure it out. Find something, find a sheet, I mean, gosh, you could take a real umbrella instead of a photographic umbrella and put aluminum foil on the inside of it, or put white fabric on the inside of it, or just, but light can bounce off of anything, okay? You don't necessarily need, you know, photography umbrellas. Obviously, you know, if you're a pro, you need to have stuff that looks nice. You don't want to show up to a wedding with your foil-lined regular umbrella with polka dots on it, but But just play around and just start thinking, well, what if I put that in front of the flash? And what if I move the flash over here? And what if I do that with a flash? And then you get shots like these. I'd love to know which of these is your favorite. To figure that out, tell me. Shot 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17. Thanks so much for joining me. I love teaching. Thanks for being here. Thanks for taking time. Leave me a comment, and I will see you in the next tutorial. Thanks so much.